Hi, this is David Allen Greer. I'm always looking for evidence that information technology has somehow altered society, has changed those fundamental relationships amongst people, institutions, and government. This past week I got an intriguing bit of evidence that came from a report that appeared in my mailbox. It was a report on global cybersecurity, and it was written by the Council on Foreign Relations.
There was little truly new in the report. Indeed, there were some phrases in the report that suggested that the authors were not particularly current on the literature of cybersecurity or even of computing itself. The report said that we lived in fearsome times with many people attacking our cyber infrastructure, and that a fractured internet under the control of regional powers or blocs was not in the interest of the United States government. As I read the report, I noted that one phrase occurred over and over again. These phrases urged the United States to work with like-minded actors, including governments, technical companies, non-governmental organizations or NGOs, and the non-commercial sector or civil society. Policy papers often contain a great deal of repetition, but here the repetition suggested that there were new ways for these actors to work together. It suggested quite strongly that there were new roles for companies, and perhaps that there were new roles for technical professionals as well. Now, corporations and the nation-state have a long common history in which the two organizations have always pushed and prodded each other for more power. The picture here is of the Dutch East India Corporation, which was founded in Amsterdam in 1602. The nation-state traces its history to the Treaty of Westphalia, which is about 46 years later. Over the 350-year history of these two institutions, the nation-state has generally been dominant. States oversee the incorporation of companies. Companies don't oversee the formation of states. Yet we have certainly seen times when companies have exerted power and have even maintained armies and used them against states, as was the case in another East Indies company, this one from England. So what does this centuries-old competition between companies and nation-states mean when we are now entering an era in which countries cannot secure assets of vital national importance? Are we going to see a corporate coup in which companies band together and overthrow the nation-state? Probably not. Too many of these companies benefit from the existing system. However, we probably will see competition by companies for new roles in the international system. And if there's going to be competition among companies for new positions, will there also be competition for new roles among technical workers? Particularly, will there be a role for them in governance beyond that of employee? Perhaps. But it may not be a role that we recognize.
If the Council on Foreign Relations report tells us anything, it says that we are moving beyond the questions of how many bits can we push through a multi-node net. We now have to recognize that those bits represent communications amongst representatives of peoples, that they coordinate production around the world, and that fundamentally they are restructuring the power relationship between two of the most important sets of institutions on this globe, governments and corporations. To look at those issues, we need to know what assets we bring to the table. This is David Allen Greer. Take care.